You live yet? Oh, there we go.
Action.
All right. Welcome to the Inner Space Travel Station, home of Halo, the Hypercube Algorithmic Language Oracle. And we're going to spend a few minutes talking about one of the key concepts in our presentation. And I want to preface that this is a concept to explain how a physical system that actually exists works, not a conceptual idea of how something might work in a parallel universe. This has nothing to do with speculation in any way. And I think that when you're viewing this, do so in the form of a thought experiment. And we're going to take you on a little experiment. And the experiment is to illustrate how consciousness and time interact at the local level, a non-kinetic view of relativity. And so imagine this for a moment. Two identical planes and one station, the tower. And on each plane and at the tower is a standalone cesium clock. And on each plane next to the clock and on the tower is one of these. This is called an ether-spheric modulator. And what this is underneath this, each one of these, and actually these three lights here, are solid-state processors which incorporate the electron tunneling method of data processing. And so the company that created its name is S.C.R.E.A.M, and you can actually download the S.C.R.E.A.M Mind Lamp Handbook. They've done nothing like this. So this is a unique design to further illustrate mind-matter interaction. And I came up with the idea that this also has to do with time, just in trying to explain how those things work. So, again, we're in a plane, and you have this equipment. So both planes take off at the same time, and they're flying in formation, a couple thousand miles apart from each other, but tracking exact same speed, exact same everything. And one of them, let's say plane number one, then encounters a large electromagnetic anomaly just sitting in the air, and it has to fly through it. Now, assuming it doesn't have any effect on the plane, we're just talking about conceptual time, the passage of time. We know that as a body is in motion relative to the tower, the time on both the cesium clocks that are on each of the planes is going to run slower than the cesium clock at the tower. And we also know, because time distorts in electromagnetic fields, plane number one, who's going through the anomaly, the electromagnetic sphere anomaly, time is going to move slower for that cesium clock than it will for the cesium clock on plane number two. Even though they're tracking at the same time, everything's the same. Because we know that electromagnetic fields will cause time dilation as something passes through it. So take this larger concept here and apply it to the solid state level on the AIM unit. And imagine you're an electron traveling from the power to one of these lights, and it's a light emitting diode. So it's going to literally pass through the diode. And these are FET, also known as random number generators, random event generators. And so as that electron passes through that electromagnetic field, time will dilate for it in a different manner than the same unit on plane number two. Now, when that electron passes through, it changes state. And depending on its state, it turns out to be a 1 or a 0. So that's what causes the shifts here in color. And so what we're looking at is color shifts that are actually reflective of the time dilation going on with an electron as it passes through an electromagnetic field.
And that's a hell of a lot of coherence right now.
That's a lot of coherence. The probability, I mean, if you look at these, it's a little difficult to tell the colors, but they're in these are both yellow right now, exactly the same. So the statistical, we're able to measure these. We know what the statistics look like from other instruments that are hooked up to computers and not lights, so we can extrapolate and do a little mind math. And this device right here that we're looking at, S.C.R.E.A.M, is the device that, if you look back through hundreds, if not thousands of articles, looking for something just like this. And it's far more powerful than I originally thought in its relationship to time and consciousness. The consciousness discussion is a whole different discussion, and that's, I think, we call that the anthromemoration discussion. This is specifically how time, this is actually a time measurement device. Do you have anything to add, Dr. Downey?
So you're telling me that all of those lights, right, that down there, are independently controlled. It looks like they're talking to each other, but they're not. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. It's yeah, they're not. These lights are not in any way engineered together, other than just sitting next to each other.
And yet, a moment ago, we saw like more than half of them blue.
Right, and that's coherence happening. So this is a device that will detect coherence in the room. And we've done this many, many times, had people meditate in front of it or actually try to change it, and it's very responsive. So check out the rest of our videos, and feel free to leave any questions or comments. And we're going to be presenting again this Friday with P.e.a.c. And we'd like to invite all academics that are part of P.e.a.c. to take a very close look at this. And we'd love to get some feedback on the mechanics. All right, let's cut it.
All right. Enjoy the rest of the conference, everybody, and see you next time.
What do you think?